Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1082A, and today's date is September 22nd, 2016, and the title of the episode is, The Economic Indicators Are Contracting Quickly as the Economy Implodes. Let's get into the economic collapse financial news. Now, we know the central bankers want us to believe that the countries that were collapsing, they're improving. Things are getting better, like Greece, Cyprus, France, Italy. They want us to believe the EU is improving. They want us to believe that the United States is improving. Well, for those people on the street, they realize things are not improving. Maybe they're improving for the 1%, the elite, because the entire system is focused on them, making them much, much wealthier than they already are. And we can see throughout the other countries, things are not going as well. I mean, we look at Greece, we understand there's huge unemployment. People are having a very difficult time getting by. And there are people in Greece who can't even afford to buy even a loaf of bread that costs like 60 cents or 70 cents. And we can see right now that the bakers in Greece, well, they don't sell their day-old bread. They usually throw it away. But they've been giving it to those people who can't afford the bread. They're also telling people who can afford to buy a loaf of bread or a bagel, and don't take it with you. Let it sit here and let it wait for someone who needs it. And we can see from this that the situation in Greece is rough. Here in the United States, we have the same exact problems. No different. There are people on the streets that are hungry, people living in tents. And we can see that as we move forward here, and as the economy continually contracts, as it continually implodes on itself, there's going to be more and more of those people. We saw it back in 2008. People didn't want to leave their homes. They stayed in their homes even though they couldn't have the water on, they couldn't turn on the lights, they weren't paying their mortgage. They didn't leave their homes. Now, in other cases, in California and many other places, where they're like, okay, we can't even make the payments, we're just going to leave it. And they just walked out. And where did all these people go? Well, many people had a rent, and many other people, well, they lived on the streets. But the government wants us to believe that everybody has a job and everything is fine. They came out with their initial jobless claims, which tumbled to about 252,000. And this is the lowest level since 1973. They're telling us that everyone has a job, no one is claiming unemployment, and everything is fine. But when you look at the U.S. economic growth, it's collapsed. And jobless claims have plunged to 4-decade lows. Something, again, doesn't make sense. When we look at the ISM employment, people are being laid off. When we look at the 2016 GDP growth expectations, they're continually revised lower and lower and lower. When we look at manufacturing, industrial production, when we look at the manipulated data about wage increases, all of this is a lie. Now, something very interesting. We talk about real estate quite a bit. And we've been tracking homes. We've been showing that prices now are coming down. There are houses that are on the market that just can't be moved. They can't sell them. We're coming out of the summer months. This is usually the hot season for real estate. We're heading into the winter months. And we can see existing home sales. Well, they're continually sliding. They're not improving. July sales of existing homes dropped by 0.9%. And what they've done is they brought this number even lower because they had to revise the numbers. But what's very interesting about all of this is that the housing market normally is based on the population. Those people who are getting jobs, people making money, they save their money, they have the down deposit, they go and they purchase a home. And when unemployment is low, like it is right now at 4.9%, usually housing is moving up in sales. More people are buying the existing homes. When they buy the existing homes, those people in the existing homes, they go and purchase a new home, which allows the builders to build the new homes, and they order lumber, flooring, and everything else. But we're not seeing that, because we're seeing existing home sales, they're down. New home construction is down. So something's wrong. And Lawrence Yun from the National Association of Realtors, and you have to remember, Lawrence Yun, back in 2008, in September, going into October, said that the real estate market looked very strong. And when the stock market crashed, he said it's only a little blip, and by the winter, real estate is going to be booming once again. No, he was completely wrong. But he's sitting there today, and he's perplexed. And he said that the recent job growth is not yielding higher home sales. We have a very healthy labor market in most of the country, and this should be creating a sustained demand for home purchases. And he's sitting there scratching his head going, I don't understand why this is not happening. Because throughout the past, this is what happens. Unemployment, well, that's very low. People have a lot of people have jobs. People go out and they take that money and they purchase a home. But it's not happening this time. Actually, we're seeing the opposite happen. We know why this is happening. Because the unemployment numbers, they're manipulated. We're not at 4.9%. Everyone knows this. Well, everyone who is not listening to the corporate media and to the US government and to the Fed. We're more at 25, maybe up to 30% of unemployment right now. And those people who are getting jobs, where the government counts them as a full-time job, most of them are part-time. They're not buying a house anytime soon. Things are so bad in the housing market that the number of New Yorkers applying for emergency grants to stay in their homes is skyrocketing right now. Because what we're seeing is there's a number of people that are staying in homeless shelters, and that has reached an all-time high. So right now in New York, there are 82,306 applications for one-time emergency grants to prevent evictions. Well, if the economy is doing so great, why are we seeing a surge in this? Because the economy is not what it seems. The economy is doing much, much worse than they're telling us. This is why we're seeing something like this. And we have this incredible indicator, which, of course, the corporate media will not mention. We have the Fed's National Activity Indicator. Now, this is showing us how the economy is doing. And when it contracts, it usually means we're heading into some type of a recession. Well, this has been contracting for 19 months in a row. This is the longest period of contraction without a recession in 49-year history of the indicator. And it has just crashed to negative 0.55. This is unbelievable. And why is this happening? It's because we're looking at manipulated data. When we're looking at manipulated data, like unemployment, stock market, precious metals, bonds, GDP, the indicators are showing us that this economy is not doing well. But the manipulated numbers that are released by the government, they're fooling the population and making them think that the economy is doing well. And of course, those people who don't have jobs, those people who have part-time jobs, those people that can barely get by, they know what's going on here. I mean, we can see it. It's right in front of our eyes. Housing sales are down. Retail is contracting. GDP is being revised lower and lower and lower. And we're seeing manufacturing jobs lost. Corporate defaults are on the rise. More people are applying for emergency grants to stay in their homes. We're seeing the retail sales, they're contracting. But what's very interesting also is that the corporate media, wow, they are pushing for this holiday season. They're saying that this holiday season is going to be one of the best ones ever because stores are just hiring people temporarily for this holiday season because they expect it's going to be really great. You know, they said the same thing last year. And they said, just wait until we have that Black Friday and Cyber Monday. But guess what happened? It was a complete flop. And we're going to see a complete flop this year. It's going to be even worse. And for all intents and purposes, we are in a recession right now. Actually, I think we're one step further right now. I think we were in a recession at the beginning of this year. I think now that we're in September going into October, I think we have just started the depression. And remember, the US government is not going to mention this. Actually, they don't mention it until much, much later. But when we look at this, we can see that things around this country, around the world, it is all contracting. And they're just trying to keep the system going a little bit longer until they can get that event set up and have their narrative the way they want it so they can tell the story of what's going to happen. And we're getting very close to that time period, and we need to be prepared for what is about to happen here. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.